Hey, what's up, guys? I want to talk about the new round timer and C4 timer that Valve introduced about a month ago or so in one of their updates. Um, so now matchmaking and what the pros are currently using is 155 a round timer and a 40-second bomb timer. What's good right off the bat is that now matchmaking, if you competitive matchmake on Valve's system, you're playing the same settings that the pros are now going to be playing, right? So that's actually really cool. And before, when it was different, it was kind of weird and useless. So before, pros used to play on a minute 45 round time and 35-second bomb timer. And then competitive matchmaking by Valve was a 2-minute round timer and 45-second bomb timer. So it seems like Valve just kind of was like, here's the pros, here's the matchmaking settings. Let's just split it down the middle, and we'll just see how it goes. As of right now, it seems pretty permanent, and they seem serious about the changes, because they actually, other than it just being introduced in their competitive matchmaking, they also said that their Valve majors, the events that they back, are also going to be using these times. And that has persuaded leagues and events to also adopt these new times, obviously, and pretty much everything is going to switch over to these new times that Valve introduced. We'll talk about maybe why they were changed, and we'll talk about round timer, C4 timer, pros, cons. We'll try to break it down and have a discussion about it. So we were talking about why did they make these changes? I have no idea, and none of the pros are really contacted about it from what I understand and have come to find out is no one was talked about it. No pros gave feedback and were like, hey, we need longer round times and we need 5 more seconds on the bomb. Like, none of that was happened. There was no pro feedback for these changes or Valve communication as to why. It just seems like they took each one to put in the middle and then just see how they're going to go. So as of right now, they seem permanent. And yeah, let's start off by talking about the round timer. So we'll talk about pro right off the bat. So I think that with 10 more seconds doesn't seem like that big of a change, but it will change, and it'll change the meta. I'm not sure exactly how big of a change it will have, but adding 10 seconds to tier 1 teams and very top players, it will make a difference. And what's good is that it'll give you more time to add a little bit, maybe more in-depth strategy and more time to outthink your opponent, right? So you can maybe wait smokes out a little bit longer, juke out your opponent, fake them more, just overall try to add a little bit more strategy to the play, which is obviously really nice, right? We obviously don't want like 3-minute bomb time or 3-minute round times because the game's just going to become really boring, and it's really important that this game is obviously exciting for spectators. So that's one thing we have to look at. If the meta changes where like slower rounds are becoming more and more popular, could make the game a little bit more slower to watch, but just something to think about. We obviously don't want to cut the round time shorter. I think that would be an even worse idea than adding 10 seconds. So if we're at 145, and by the way, I thought 145 was absolutely fine. I don't think either of these changes were necessary, but Valve likes to switch stuff up on us, so yeah, what are we going to do? So if we were to cut it down 10 seconds and it'd be a 135, I think that would be way worse than adding 10 seconds and making it 155, just because at that point, and it just kind of reminds me of like the CGS days in Source where the round timers were really short and strategy was kind of thrown out the window, and a lot of the terrorist sides were like, hey, we're going to rush this and we're just going to outshoot you. And strategy, like I said, is thrown out the window, and it comes down to just who has better aim and who can shoot better like that. So I do like that there's a possibility to add a more in-depth strategy on T sides, and outplaying your opponent, it's always nice, a nice touch to that. So I'm okay with 155. C4 timer, if I had to pick one of the two to be changed, I do not like the C4 timer being 40 seconds. Let's talk about the good though. We'll start off with the good. So I was just writing down some like little notes. I was like, all right, so this could maybe allow for more coordinated retakes, maybe more flanks happening on retakes, and maybe less saving SCTs. Because if you post up, you know, maybe you just wait for the terrorist to make a mistake. And I haven't even used my game yet, so I'm not sure why I'm even in here. But we'll talk about an example then in game. So I'm talking about flanks. If you have more time to flank. So previously, let's say, yeah, let's use our in-game now. Sweet. So before, maybe you didn't want to flank this here to flank into B site, right? Because it's just you didn't have enough time. But now these guys in here could be like, hey, we're going to wait for you to flank, and then we'll go in together. It adds a little bit more coordinated retake, maybe flanks, like I said. I don't know. Maybe this guy just posts up a little bit longer, and if the terrorists get antsy or make a mistake and peek someone, it gives a chance to run into the bomb site and actually try to go for the round. What I've seen so far from the longer bomb timers is that a lot of the after plans come down to just gunfights. It's like the bomb time is so long and everyone is still in their mind set on 35 seconds that I rarely see like a bomb explode unless the CTs are like absolutely saving, right? There was a clutch today, actually. There was multiple clutches today I saw from Star Ladder that weren't even possible on the 35-second bomb timer. Like all of Meister's 1v3, if you watched it today, he would not even been close with the 35-second bomb timer. Does that make the game more competitive, adding 5 more seconds to the bomb timer? I don't know. It's questionable. But I really like the aspect that you can kind of play the round out by using the bomb as like an extra man, right? And we'll talk about like a 1v1 scenario where playing the bomb is going to be extremely hard with 40 seconds. So let's talk about... we can talk about the 1v1, sure. So yeah, what I saw, just a lot of after plans came down the gunfights. And what I think about, I'll tell you what I think about like 1v1. So I think clutching should be about capitalizing on the very few chances that you do have, right? I think if you get too many opportunities presented to you, that's not even more skill. That's just like, I don't know. I just don't think it takes more skill with 40 seconds. Let's just say the bomb's planted here and the terrorist is in apartments. And let's say the CT heard or he knows he's in apartments, right? So it comes down to the situation where this guy's going to fake it and try to pull the terrorist out to him. He now has like so many chances to fake, pull him out, fight him. Fake, pull him out, fight him. And I think 40 seconds is honestly too long, and it gives the CT too many chances that this terrorist is just like, even if you outplay the CT, he still has a very high chance of winning it. So I think that like the CT should be able to capitalize on the very few chances that he does have on. That's what makes clutching great and exciting. So let's just say an example. Like this guy right here is going to try like jiggle peeking to see if the guy shoots at him. If he shoots at him, he knows he's off the bomb and he's going to hide a little more. In my opinion, like the terrorist just outplayed the guy if that happens. Maybe the next time that CT taps the bomb, the terrorist like fake runs out, maybe just shoots the wall to bait him off of it, make him scared, and the CT like ends up pre-firing or just shooting, and the terrorist once again outplayed the CT. But the CT is gonna have so many of those chances now that I don't know. Like I don't think even it just seems like the C4 timer is too long in my opinion. I'm not convinced that the C4 timer is a good change. Maybe someone else has a different perspective and can shed some light on it, has thought about it a little bit more. But even when, I think it should be like a risk if the CT allows the bomb to be planted, or if a good fake is thrown for a terrorist team. You know, they fake them out, they think it's B, they plant A. The CTs can now like rotate pretty easily and attempt to go for it with 40 seconds. And I think the terrorist should be applauded with faking the bomb, faking it, getting the bomb down and whatnot. So obviously, I'm not convinced with the C4 timer change being good. Round time, I think, can be pretty interesting, and I'm excited to see how that changes the meta. So the round time is obviously in favor of the T's, helping the T's out a little bit more. can outplay the CTs. The C4 time is obviously in the favor of the CTs, allowing for easier retakes, more possible clutching scenarios. So maybe they did that on purpose. Maybe they wanted to help CTs to clutch more. I have no idea what Valve is trying to attempt with either of the changes, but it's interesting to talk about and maybe just get the community thinking about it. But the changes seem like they'll be around for at least a little while. I would say a pretty good bit. So let's get used to 155 and 40. Thanks for watching, guys.